In this video, I try to go from barely beating the Eye of Cthulhu to beating pre-hard mode in 100 days, on master mode. By the end of the video, you'll see why this game is so fucking terrible, but also so perfect on master mode. Oh, and only a small portion of my viewers are subscribed, so if you want to keep getting quality content from me, please subscribe. To recap the goals of this video, I will try to beat pre-hard mode in 100 in-game days. To keep track of progression, I will use the number of bosses I defeated as checkpoints. Almost all of the pre-hard mode bosses are required to beat the game, and as such I feel as if it's a good way to mark progression. Of course, the game is built as an open world, so there is no specific order to fight the bosses, but I will fight them based on my opinion of their difficulty. King Slime, Eye of Cthulhu, Brain of Cthulhu, Queen Bee, Skeletron, and finally, the Wall of Flesh. One last thing before we start. Relogic for some reason didn't put a day counter in Terraria, so instead of manually counting days, I decided to just give myself 40 hours to beat pre-hard mode using the timer on the character select screen. Since it would take that long if you convert 100 Terraria days into hours, I think this is a fair adjustment of the rules. Now let's get into the video! First up, we have King Loser over here. This man is so fat that I've seen Americans skinnier than him. Now, even on Master Mode, this fight was not difficult by any stretch of the imagination. The hardest part about King Slime wasn't even the fight. It's that even after playing 8 hours on my world, I only had 2 rubies. You need rubies to make the crown to summon King Slime, and although I could have just used the rubies I had, I decided it would be better to use them to start a gemcorn farm so that I never run out of rubies again. And while I was underground, I might as well go mining to make sure I have more than enough ores and materials for the early game. Oh, also the first 8 hours of this playthrough was done on the last video, where I do everything from spawning in to beating the Eye of Cthulhu. If you want to see the very beginning of the series, check that video out. By the end of the mining session, I was 10 hours into the run, which is a little worrying, but I was confident that the time was well spent. For the King Slime fight, all you have to do is spam him with fire arrows and run when he TPs on you. Again, I had some strong accessories from the first video, so this battle was not a problem. But don't think this video was a cakewalk. This game goes absolutely insane way too quickly. Now let's get to the next boss. So, I just looked through the VODs and tried to find when I fought the Eye of Cthulhu again, but I don't think I actually did fight him between King Slime and Brain of Cthulhu. So what if we just pretend that this fight happened now? Like, guys, it's for the content, it's just a better story. The fight isn't gonna be that different, you still pelt the eye with arrows and run away. I promise the other fights will be in continuity, so just bear with me on this one, and let's quickly move on. Now this is where the challenge really begins. The previous bosses were admittedly very easy. This boss though really fucked me up. I died over and over and over again. The problem is with the second phase. After the creepers are taken care of, the boss goes into a mimic phase, where duplicate brains surround you. Eventually they get so similar that they become identical, and when that happens, you don't know which one to attack, so the brain just hits you until you die. This is where guides are crucial in beating Master Mode. In Classic, you will be able to get away with some weaker weapons to kill bosses, but in Master Mode, you need some specific weapons because their attributes make it possible to beat a boss. In the case of the brain, you need a mini shark. This is a weapon that has an incredibly high fire rate, allowing you to knock back the brain much more efficiently. The mini shark is only sold by the arms dealer, so after I bought one from him, I went back to the boss with some extra buffs like iron skin and regeneration potions, as well as the well-fed buff. I must also give an honorable mention to the Crimson Rod. This weapon was able to hold off the brain and the creepers because both enemies get knocked back with damage, creating a mini wall against the brain. However, even with all those buffs, I still got overwhelmed and had to TP out. This just shows how on Master Mode, you could have all the buffs in the world, but you won't make it unless you find the strategy to beat the boss. Eventually, I found that the duplicates will move away from the player, while the original will move towards. So the strategy is to shoot the opposite direction you are moving. It took a lot of practice and a lot of deaths, but eventually I defeated the brain, and I don't think I've been happier about beating a boss before. Oh, I got him! I didn't even realize! Let's go! Guys, this is such a big W. Let's go! This is the most fucked up boss I have ever seen in my life. Not like this. Not like this! No! Between bosses, I decided to explore my world, mine meteorite, build houses for my NPCs, and just make general improvements to the landscape. When I felt like I had enough prep, I went to the hive and broke the larva. That was a mistake. On paper, this boss should be pretty easy. There is no second phase, and I have Bazoor, so I didn't even take poison damage. The biggest problem is that I am so egotistical. I didn't just want to win. I wanted to put her in her place. What does that mean? Well, I wanted to beat the boss in her own nest, so I spent way too much time hollowing out the hive, and when I was ready to fight her, I found she did 50 damage after buffs, and she takes almost no damage when she gets down to 1000 health. This video does not do justice for how terrible this fight was, but hopefully my reaction shows you what this boss can do to a man. Come on. Yeah! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh shit! That took 10 minutes. Alright, now we got Papyrus Plays over here. To be honest, I didn't want to struggle like I did with the bee, so I did way too much prep. I built a lake at every biome to get fish for buffs, as well as a rather large bait farm for infinite fishing. And then I found the Shimmer and got some permanent buffs from that. Yeah, I didn't give Skelly Boy a chance. Though he did guard the dungeon, which is one of the coolest sections of the game. I'm not going to show you a lot because the coolest part about it is how mysterious it is. But now we have to move on to the final boss of the run. And now the end is here. Oh boy, this was a great final boss. For my first attempt, I tried to use the Knight's Edge to DPS down the boss, but the problem was that the eye lasers would kill me. So I switched strategies and used this bad boy right here. Hell yeah, this is a high DPS ranged weapon that's only downside is that it takes fallen stars as ammo. But that's a small price to pay for absolute carnage. I just used Knight's Edge to kill the Hungry and the Star Cannon for the actual boss, and before I knew it, I beat the challenge. So there you have it, all the bosses defeated. It was a long journey, but it's finally over. If you liked the video, please Oh, hold on a second. Hello? What do you mean the time? Shit, this was a time run! Okay, I had to do it in under 40 hours, right? Okay, it's okay. I didn't forget. I would never forget. Ooh, 38 hours, 30 minutes. Wasn't even close. Hour 30 to spare out of 40. It's easy. It was just too easy. I'm not even gonna lie. If you want more from me, please subscribe and stay on the grind.